Strength and honor, everybody. Let's talk about Gladiator 2. It is not as good as Gladiator, which is impressive considering Gladiator, which I only watched for the first time 3 days ago, it's not a high bar to me. Like, I loved the movie. I understand why. Like, it's considered a classic. It's so good. It is good. But it has a very simple story, which I'll get to. It's disappointing because Gladiator 2 looked so good from the trailers, but the story, even without the comparison to Gladiator, which I am going to compare it to Gladiator because the movie invites the comparison very enthusiastically, even without the comparison, the story is not good. So, the synopsis is that after his home is conquered by the tyrannical emperors who now lead Rome, Lucius is forced to enter the Colosseum and must look to his past to find strength to return the glory of Rome to its people. Gladiator 2 is one of those movies that does as little as possible to distinguish itself from the original. And that is to its detriment. The movie has a summary of the first movie, which, fine, there are some people who haven't seen it in like decades probably. It also has flashbacks throughout the movie. And those flashbacks are supposed to add to the story, especially considering Lucius's storyline, but it doesn't add anything. Gladiator 2 has the same inciting incident as the first movie. The same thing pops everything off. So then the main character has the same motivation. Two of the three villains have the same hobby as the first villain. It doesn't do much to distinguish itself except for via Denzel Washington's character named Macrinus. I don't remember how these names are pronounced. Macrinus. That is the one fresh take in the sequel, but I'll talk more about that later. So back to when I said Gladiator is a simple like bar to meet. Gladiator's story is very simple. A man loses his family. His wife and son are murdered, and so then he gets kidnapped and forced to be a slave, a general, forced to become a slave, who is then forced to become a gladiator. He then realizes that this is a perfect path to get revenge on the emperor who murdered his family. There's some political intrigue in the background, not too much. Something about Rome, something, like returning Rome to its glory, the promise of Rome. But that's like the C story. Behind the A story being Maximus's story. Arguably, the B story is Commodus's story. There's fighting and gore, but the story goes along and packs a heavy punch at the end. And it's due to the pacing. It's due to Commodus, especially, I will say, and Joaquin Phoenix's amazing performance, which is even more impressive after watching the sequel. Because Maximus is a very flat character. I know this is like halfway a Gladiator review, but it has to do with Gladiator 2, I promise. Maximus is a pretty flat character, very one note. He is the hero who stoic, does the right thing, has the right ideas, flat, well acted by Russell Crowe, flat nonetheless. Commodus is very dynamic. Like, he's got the rejection happening, the daddy issues, and Rome is paying for those issues. He is jealous, he's controlling, he's bloodthirsty, he's insecure, he's driven by something, by a lack. And so, like, and then, he says those horrible things to Maximus about how his family met their demise, and you're rooting for his downfall. So even though the main character is flat, the dynamism, I believe that's the word, of his opponent makes up for that. And so you've got a great pairing. They hired two people to do what Joaquin Phoenix did all by himself, and they did not succeed. Joseph Quinn, who plays Gaeta, and Fred Heckinger, who plays Gaeta's twin emperor, Caracalla, they both did a good job, but they did not have a lot to work with. They needed to be fleshed out. I needed to know what is driving them. What's their issue? Besides the bloodthirst. And then you have Macrinus, played by Denzel Washington. I feel that if the movie had hinged everything on Macrinus, it would have been successful in my eyes. And then you have Lucius, the main character. Lucius is not as flat as Maximus, and yet somehow is less interesting than Maximus. Let's talk about it. Spoilers ahead if you have not seen the movie. Gladiator 2 feels like it has too much going on, and that might be because it's pretty disorganized in my opinion. So you have Lucius's wife is killed by General Acacius at the order of General Acacius. Okay, so then Lucius wants revenge, but then Lucius abandons his plot for revenge once he finds out that General Acacius loves his mother. So then the movie then turns from being anchored by the character to being anchored by Rome, like the Empire of Rome, which I'll get to. We also have Lucilla, who's back, Lucius's mother. So we have her going on, and she's following the same damn plot of trying to bring down the emperors. You have General Acacius, who is like a pillar of this empire, but I'm supposed to care that he feels bad about conquering. Like, that is not interesting. At least Maximus just wanted to go home to his family. He believed in Rome. He believed in the empire. He believed in the conquering straight up. They didn't try to, like, give him a conscience about, like, he was a patriot. And that would have worked better for what's his name? Acacius, as opposed to what they tried to do here. So the story here is about Rome, about, like, getting to Marcus Aurelius's dream for Rome. Guys, I do not care about Rome. And I don't mean that, like, on principle. I mean, like, in the story, I don't care about the Empire of Rome. It's a damn empire. They're going around, like, conquering people. What's interesting are the characters. And so for this movie point to be like, let's sheathe our sword and, like, focus on turning Rome around. What does that even mean? Like, does that mean no more campaigns? What about the enemies that Rome has built up over the years? I know they've conquered a lot of people, but what about its enemies? Like, the ending is, like, feel good, like, kind of like rehabbing the empire, but it falls flat for me. Like I said, the only breath of fresh air in the sequel, the only new thing they try to do is with Macrinus's character, played by Denzel. They should have anchored the movie on him. I was rooting. So Macrinus is a good villain. Commodus is a better villain, better written. But I feel, and I was rooting against Commodus because of everything that happened in this movie. I was rooting for Macrinus in this movie because the way he was going about everything was interesting. And after I found out while writing up my notes that the real Macrinus did go on to rule Rome for a bit, he ruled the empire, I don't understand why this couldn't happen here. He doesn't have the same backstory as the Macrinus in the movie, but why not give him the win? Macrinus gave us the 3 most exciting moments in the movie. One, when he helps Caracalla to kill Gaeta, when he kills Caracalla, and then when he kills Lucilla. Like, when he landed that shot at Lucilla, I literally went, yes, because I'm here to be entertained. I am here for the bloodshed. I'm here for the violence. And he was giving it to me. I would have loved if at the end, turns out that Rafi, whatever his name was, that Rafi was actually on his side. But no, we just get a fight between him and Lucius. Now, that wrist cut was lethal. It was great. It was shocking. But he just dies at the end so that Lucius can reclaim his place, his heritage or whatever. The thing is that Rome is not rootable, and neither is Lucius. His anger at Lucilla was flat to me because, like, I don't know what he went through. Like, was he, like, did he sleep on the street? Like, did he get into fights? Did he suffer abuse? Like, nothing about what he went through trying to survive by himself. And so I give the movie 2 out of 5. Yes, because I give the original Gladiator 3 out of 5. Even though I enjoyed it a lot, it's not, like, groundbreaking. Like, I guess it was at the time, but I give it a 3 out of 5. This, I give it a 2. It's a 2. If you've seen Gladiator 2, I hope, since you just listened to all of this, let me know what you think.